Mexicanos, vivan los héroes que nos dieron la patria y libertad. Viva Hidalgo, viva Morelos, viva Josefa Ortiz de Domínguez, viva Allende, viva Galeana y los Bravo, viva Aldama y Matamoros, viva la independencia nacional, viva México, viva México, viva México. Today, this version of El Grito is recited by the President of Mexico in the national commemorative activity in the National Palace or at the church in Dolores Hidalgo. For each line beginning Viva, recited by the President, the crowd responds with Viva. The Grito de Dolores, or the Cry of Dolores, was uttered from the small town of Dolores near Guanajuato in Mexico on September 16, 1810. It is the event that marks the beginning of the Mexican War of Independence. The Grito was the pronunciamiento of the Mexican War of Independence by Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, a Roman Catholic priest. Since October 1825, the anniversary of the event is celebrated as Mexican Independence Day. Hidalgo and several criollos were involved in planned revolts against the Spanish colonial governments when several plotters were killed. Fearing his arrest, Hidalgo commanded his brother Mauricio, as well as Ignacio Allende and Mariano Abasolo, to go with a number of other armed men to make the sheriff release the pro-independent inmates there on the night of 15 April. They managed to set 80 free. Around 6 a.m. on September 16, 1810, Hidalgo ordered the church bells to be rung and gathered his congregation. Flanked by Allende and Juan Aldama, he addressed the people in front of his church, encouraging them to revolt. The siege of Guanajuato, the first major engagement of the insurgency, occurred 4 days later. Mexico's independence would not be effectively declared from Spain in the Declaration of Independence of the Mexican Empire until September 28, 1821, after a decade of war. It was on the night of September 23, 1868, that hundreds of people of diverse backgrounds came to the town of Lares for the declaration of independent republic from Spain. The event marked a turning point in the development of the Puerto Rican people, whose national identity had formed within a colonial context founded on the domination and enslavement of indigenous and African peoples. El Grito was a popular uprising that led to 88 deaths, 80 of which occurred in prison, and 523 arrests. That the date of September 23rd saw diverse groups of people fighting together for the revolutionary change of Puerto Rican society. Those who participated included rich and poor, intellectuals and illiterate, professionals, wage earners, and artisans, clergymen and laymen, as well as civilians and soldiers. One of the goals of the uprising was the abolition of slavery, influencing dozens of slaves to join the revolt, even alongside their owners, with the understanding that a successful revolt will lead to their freedom. As all of these actors of Puerto Rican society came together at Lares, the group that later faced the largest number of arrests at 189, the jornaleros, or wage earners, symbolically burned the libretas, or employment passbooks, that served as their identification and tied them to the haciendas they worked on. El Grito de Lares, though defeated militarily, was a well-planned event that engaged virtually all sectors of Puerto Rican society. Transcending barriers of race, class, national origin, and even sex, the movement that led to the Declaration of Independent Republic included a fair representation of Puerto Rican society. By gaining the support of other countries throughout the Caribbean and Latin America, as well as establishing a base of support in New York City, even though such support was not realized, the movement took on an international character. All of these are lessons that can be applied today in the Puerto Rican people's continued struggle against colonialism under U.S. rule. After several years of being mocked by Cortez, Prince Pedro chose to stay in Brazil and lead the population to independence. Pedro departed to Sao Paulo province to assure the province's loyalty to the Brazilian cause. He reached its capital on 25 August and remained there until 5 September. When returning to Rio de Janeiro on 7 September, he received mail from Jose Bonifacio and his wife Leopoldina. The prince learned that the Cortes had annulled all acts from the Bonifacio cabinet and removed the remaining power he still had. Friends, the Portuguese Cortes want to enslave and pursue us. From today on, our relations are broken. No ties unite us anymore, he told his supporters and continued after he pulled out his blue-white armband that symbolized Portugal. Armbands off, soldiers! Hail to independence, to freedom, and to the separation of Brazil! He unsheathed his sword, affirming that, for my blood, my honor, my God, I swear to give Brazil freedom, and cried out, independence or death! This event is remembered as the Cry of Ipiranga.